Hey, it's been a while since we had a nice little Offlane video, ain't that right, guys? It's been quite a while, and I'm like, what's a Offlane hero that a lot of people like to play? A hero that's very difficult to play at that, and that's Axe. I really do believe that people look at Axe and they say, oh, this is one of the most simple heroes in Dota. You just call them and you hope they're in a creep wave, but there's actually a lot more to that in Axe. There's a lot of things that most people don't do, and I'm here today to give you those secrets, those tips, so that you can implement them into your game as well, and hopefully stomp as Axe. Also, we're going to be watching Funnick. You guys remember that name? I feel like he's just a Dota name classic. Isn't he the guy? Wait, is Funnick the one that did like the whole 0.01% meme? Is that him? I don't know, you guys can let me know in the comments. I'm not like a meme guy, as a lot of you guys probably have guessed. I mean, you know, I like memes, but alright, that's besides the point. Smash the like button, subscribe, and of course, subscribe to the GameLeap website. Why? Because I just made a full Medusa course. Oh, you don't play Medusa? It doesn't matter, you should subscribe anyway. Well, I even recently made a support Void video over there. Yes, you heard me right. I like to analyze a lot of cool and different trends on the GameLeap website that probably wouldn't do as well on YouTube. And so if you're interested in that type of content, some more niche stuff, and other content that's very similar to what I do here on YouTube, then go check it out, right? Click the link down below and I hope to see you there. So first things first, let's talk about his item build. So he starts with 2 rings of regen. This is obviously his attempt to just sit in a lane and do well, right? Like, these items are very strong. Now you might be saying, Speed, why not buy just a ton of mangoes so that you can spam more battle hungers? Well, I think the reason is then if you eventually use the mangoes, you lose the regen. So this is just more solid overall. And I love this build. A quelling, branch, you know, who doesn't like a branch, fairy fire, and 2 rings? It's a very solid build overall. The only thing is, you have to get a shared tango, otherwise you don't have a tango, and that's bad. Also, we'll see that he's instantly shipping out an item. Now, what would that item be? Well, that item is 3 tangos. So if you're going to go this build, you need a shared tango, and you also need to ship tangos right away. But other than that, it's a great way to optimize your regen. As you can see, without eating a tango, he has 8.3 regen at level 1. That is insane. That is what a lot of heroes have when they eat a tango. Also, he skills battle hunger at level 1. This is what most axes do nowadays. It's a very valuable skill. It gives you a lot of movement speed, allows you to chase people down, and is great for helping your position 4 trade with their position 5. He just casually casts it on the disruptor to help out the Wind Ranger a little bit. That's all. And you want to do the same thing in your games as well. After all, you know, you can purge battle hunger if you get a last hit or deny, so using it on a core who will likely get one of those is a very, very bad idea. Now, the key to playing Axe in the laning stage is one major concept, and that is creep aggro. Also, you know, I would like to say don't chase people. I think that's another good point. But let's use this clip as an example here. So he currently battle hungers the Riki. He's hit his level 2 spike, which is a big spike for Axe, of course, you know. You have counter helix, you do a lot of damage while most heroes don't. And so he's gonna go very aggressive, right? Puts the battle hunger on the Riki. Now what does this do? It forces Riki to approach the wave, right? Because Riki wants to dispel the battle hunger. And so he goes in to try to harass the Wind Ranger, and instantly what he wants to do on Axe is aggro. Right, so you want to hit the opponent, and that's what he does, right? Auto attacks, and then he's going to move, right? He's going to move towards him, because if you do not move in between auto attacks, you will not hit them with the spin damage. You will lose all the value of your E, and this is how you get damage as Axe. You hit, you move, you hit, you move, and you force people to walk up for CS by battle hungering them. Does that make sense? You use battle hunger when you're level 2 or level 3 in order to force carries to approach the wave. Then when they approach the wave, you want to pull aggro, so you tank the creeps, and you likely spin. At level 3, he's going to take his spin, which I think makes a lot of sense against Riki. You know, Riki struggles against the pure damage, and has to get a melee range to CS. He doesn't have a nuke, right? Riki just literally does not have a nuke, so Battle Hunger and Counter Helix are particularly good. Also, the Q is solid, but once again, Battle Hunger allows you to get more spins off, while Call, it's mediocre. It really just is. And so yeah, now at this point in the lane, he's just going to chase him. But not too far, guys. Not too far. If you're playing Axe, you just want to chase a little bit, but not all the way, because if you chase all the way, you actually just shove the wave, and that's kind of counterintuitive, right? The key is to shove the wave only a little bit, right? Only shove the wave when you can actually use the counter helix on your opponent as well. Once again, here in this clip, we're going to see him casting Battle Hunger. Spam this spell. It's 50 mana for an insane amount of damage. It's 16 times 12. I'm not going to do the math. You guys can do it if you want to. But it's 16 times 12 damage. It is a huge nuke at level 1 that reduces the enemy's movement speed by 12% and increases yours by 12%, which is why with no boots, he's 347 and Disruptor is 259. That is insane, right? That's an 100 movement speed difference through one spell. You know, not that the one spell gives you that much, but you get the point, right? And he can chase the Disruptor down very, very far. Doesn't end up getting the kill because of Glimpse, but at least it makes the guy take Glimpse. I mean, level 1 glimpse is horrible for this guy to take, so it's actually a big win. And the whole lane from here on out is about the same. Really, the key to playing Axe and becoming a good Axe is learning to spam your battle hunger, see people when they're out of position, and continue to punish it. Also, being able to multitask in the lane when you're CSing, you also need to be able to pay attention to the enemy carry so that you can pull aggro at the right times and not just shove the lane. And here, we see a nice little rotation, very, very, very good map awareness to see that the Disruptor was out of position, and he gets the kill with the help of the Wind Ranger. By the way, if you're going to pick Axe in lane, I generally recommend picking it with heroes like Wind Ranger, or Crystal Maiden, or a Grimstroke, some hero that can protect you and right-click. Now, moving on here, Axe doesn't really do that much to Riki at some point in the lane, right? Riki is very high regen as well. It's very hard to zone him out. If you do try to zone him out, you'll likely just kill yourself under the tower. Riki has many ways to disengage. And so instead, I love what Funnick does here. He decides, okay, the Riki is very hard to zone, if not near impossible to zone. So what he does instead is he brings the wave, right? He starts cutting. And if you manage to do very well in your early CS, right, 21 by minute 4, and do very well in your early lanes, right? He has 1 assist. You're going to be able to do this, right? Because you'll zone out the support super hard. And this is why battle hungering the support at level 1 is so beneficial, because now this Disruptor, you know, he even ganks mid, which is horrible for him, right? It's so bad for his own game. But he can't really lane because he kept getting battle hungered and ran at. And when you run at the support, it actually enables you to cut the creep wave. Does that make sense, guys? I hope it does. And yeah, at this point of the game, that's all he's going to do. He actually drags the wave to the 5-minute bounty, which I really like. It's a nice little efficiency play, and you always want to drag the wave to some sort of camp, and this is how Axe should be played. You know, running at the enemy carry, while it can be viable, if you haven't killed them a couple times, it's going to be hard to continue to kill them, because, you know, Axe, he has to dive to kill them, right? He also has to have very specific circumstances, so instead, drag the wave up to the camp, right? In this case, he auto-attacks when it's going to the hill to pull aggro, and goes over to the Mud Golem camp. And at this point, of course, it's just a rinse, repeat, and when he sees himself getting ganked, he's able to run away, which is why you want to build not only a Ring of Protection, which he purchased, right? Axe is a very low armor hero. People don't realize this, guys. Axe has terrible armor. Like, terrible armor. I really think people are like, oh, it's Axe. He's so tanky, and I have Berserker's Call for armor. I don't need armor items. No, your hero has 4. He has 4 armor. 6 minutes into the game, and he's level 7, right? You might be saying Speedy has 10. That's because it's from the phase boots in the ring. That's why you have to buy these items. So phase boots and ring, absolutely necessary on Axe. Very crucial, even using the battle hunger there. Super clean gameplay. So just make sure you do this in your games as well. Buy phase boots, buy this ring. It's super crucial for cutting waves. And really, guys, the main thing I can say in my major tip on Axe is do not rotate, please. Unless you find some very, very optimal gank, do not rotate. You see how there's a fight going on bottom right now? How many of you would TP? Be honest. Like, genuinely be honest with yourself. You can even comment it. How many of you would TP right here? After all, you're level 9 with phase boots. The highest level on the enemy team is level 8. He's halfway to level 10. Shouldn't he go fight? Right, guys? Shouldn't he go fight? He definitely doesn't have to. Axe is a hero that needs a lot of levels and a lot of items to actually, you know, have a lot of impact and carry the game. And so, split pushing like this, while it might seem greedy, is totally fine. Because it amps your ability to make a play later on, when Axe is actually strong, when he has maxed out battle hunger in a blink. And so it's totally fine to split push his Axe. Not necessarily to take the tower, but to get farm. And so even though his team is continuing to battle bottom, he's going to continue to actually farm and push in the wave and flash farm and drag the camps together and so on. And this is going to allow him to get nearly a 10-minute blink, which then enables him to actually safely and quickly make plays. Also at level 10, by the way, he took the 20 movement speed talent. It's a pretty good talent. Even though when he gets this blink, I would like to note that he actually still continued to actually farm quite a bit. Right, even managing to just push in the wave more and more, nearly getting the top tower. When he gets this blink, he did want to set up on the Riki here. He ran away, tried to not show the blink. I think the Riki might have seen it though at the last second, so unfortunately the Magnus exposed him. But you can see, once you get the blink, yes, you do want to start making plays. But guys, big tip here, do not stop farming when you get blink, right? Because what happens is most people get blink, they make a play, and then they try to make another play. It is going to grief you. You want to make a play, hit a couple camps, become hard to read, right? Because if you just gank in a gank, people can see you. They see you coming. But if you gank into farm and then, you know, smoke off that farm or stay out of vision and run around, you'll be hard to read and you'll actually be able to make a lot better plays. And so in this case, you know, all he has to do is just wait for the Wind Ranger. I'm not doing anything insane. And that's a big thing to understand, guys. If your team is doing fine, just because you have a blink doesn't mean you have to do stuff. His team scales well. Right, he doesn't have to make a play. He absolutely does not have to. So instead, he isn't going to. The only play he eventually makes is he says, okay, I don't want to deal with this Riki. Riki versus Axe is a very weird matchup, so this is where he starts looking for his first rotation of the game, and we'll check it out. So yeah, he's actually just going to smoke with his team, and this is what I mean. He spent a little bit of time farming his triangle, and then they pop a smoke. And this smoke makes him unreadable. All of a sudden, he goes from this Axe that is staticking top, which is your typical pub player. Guys, think about it. How often do you see like an Axe or a Magnus with Blink just sitting in lane, trying to make a play happen? It's so common, and what often happens? They get counter-ganked, of course, because they know you're trying to jump. When you stand still with the Blink in a lane, everyone knows what you're trying to do. So instead, do what Funnick and the boys did here. Back up and smoke. Even if you do it by yourself, it is 10 times better than what he was doing before, and I love it. So yeah, they're going to pick up a quick little kill on the Magnus. Nothing insane. It is what it is. They wanted the Riki, couldn't get him. But Tamaman is too much of a beast. He read the gank coming. But still, he can continue to make plays. Right? He's going to stay out of vision, farm the small camp, cut the wave, and then once he gets out of vision, he lets the fight reset. They're able to get a nice little chronosphere onto the Riki. Beautiful timed call. I mean, I don't even know how he did that, but allows them to pick up the kill and continue to snowball. And now these fights are pretty straightforward. All he has to do is kite out. Remember, guys, when you have a Blink Dagger, do not just book it in, right? Don't book it in. Blink does not make you tanky. If you had a Vanguard, sure, I would not mind seeing him just like literally YOLOing at them. But the thing is, that's not what his items do. If he was buying a Vanguard and just YOLOing in, I would actually expect him to max Battle Hunger to do that. But because he's playing around Blink and he's maxing out the Berserker's Call second after 2 value points in Hunger, he wants to kite out, and that's what he does. He kites out, waits for his Blink to come up. Honestly, he wasted it there. I don't know what that was. That was kind of just bad, to be honest, but hey, eventually he'll get the call off and they're able to pick up a couple more kills onto the enemy team after chasing them down. And then, you know, this is where the game becomes very, very snowbally for Axe. They just killed Matamaman in the same area as well. And, you know, he picks up a 14-minute Vanguard. I mean, look at his net worth, guys. He's top 1. And I very rarely, almost never see a 3K MMR Axe be top net worth. It's just almost unheard of. Why? Because they don't CS in lane. They're too focused on putting pressure. You know what happens when you get too focused on putting pressure in lane? You get no items, and then because you have no items, you can't pressure. And so people really get that backwards. They play offlane and they just never farm, and they never get CS in lane, and they just run at their opponent. Guys, if you farm, you can actually have more impact when roaming, right? Even in the top lane, just because he hits more creeps, he gets an earlier phase boost, which allowed him to evade the top gank that came earlier, right? It allows him to get a wand and a ring of protection and a quick blink, which allowed him to win these fights for his team. And I think that's what a lot more people need to look at. It's how fast you can snowball. Because very often when I'm watching Dota, it looks like people are just trying to fight, but not necessarily around timings or, you know, even just amplifying timings at all. And remember what I talked about, guys? After they had won the engagement, what did Funnick do? Let's quickly go back and take a look. He stacked the camp, farmed the camp, let the enemy team reset, right? Let the enemy team get comfortable, let them split up, let them feel out the game and farm. You know what happens when you gank? They group up and they actually fight you and they potentially win that fight. But if you don't fight when you are ahead and you actually split up the map, they get comfortable. The enemy team is like, alright, they're backing down, we can split up. And therefore, now he can DP bottom from out of vision and he can set up with his Faceless Void. Right, they're eventually going to get a nice little call into a follow-up chrono and they win yet another fight, which obviously just completely tilts out the Ember as he is going to solo kill this Disruptor. And yeah, obviously at this point in the game, it's just over. And this is what happens if you play Axe like this and you can have games similar to this one. This is the power of Axe. But you know what happens when you play Axe and you don't snowball and you don't do what I'm saying about the flash farming? What usually happens in those cases is that you're running around with brown boots and a Blink Dagger. You have no phase boots, so you're very squishy. You cannot kite out. You can't even auto attack people for any damage. And therefore, you just feed. You blink in and you instantly die. And you say, why didn't my team kill them? I hit a 2-man call. Because you hit a 2-man call and it's 18 minutes into the game and you have brown boots and a Blink Dagger. Honestly, what's even worse is when I see Axes have like Tranquils in a freaking Blade Mail. Like, dude, I actually still see this stuff. It's not good. But yeah, I love how Funnick's playing this game. Overall, super clean, 150 CS at minute 17. Getting a nice little call onto Boomer, who is Secret Matamaman, the player that is winning absolutely every game. Yes, he is still killable, guys. He's not completely invincible. But another great play by Matamaman. And at this point, he does want to jungle very aggressively. And that's only because he's super far ahead. Don't be afraid if you're having a tougher game to just farm your triangle if your team doesn't need it, that is, right? If you have a Medusa up, don't do that. But, right, you can take the safe farm. It's okay to play safe occasionally on Axe. Your hero needs timings. You need Blink. Very often you need Blade Mail at certain points in the game, especially if you're trying to shut down a Leshrac or shut down a Sven or a PA. You probably need that Blade Mail. even the Vanguard, right? It's very important for him to be able to frontline this game. So I hope that makes sense, guys. All right, so next up here, we're skipping a little bit later into the game, 26 minutes in here, and I want to talk about his fight. So first things first, let's check out his items. Crimson Guard, pretty good against Ricky, pretty good against Ember. Not an insanely good Crimson Guard game, but he built it from the Vanguard anyway. And then his other item is a Force Staff. Yeah, Force Staff. I told you this earlier, guys, but when you're playing Axe, you don't necessarily want to like hardcore frontline. You want to call people, make them hit you with Blade Mail, and kite out, right? You also want to drag them into your team when they're called. And so that's kind of what he's going to do, and that's the goal of the Force Staff. It's so you can get multiple calls off, right? So that you don't have to overcommit. And so we'll see that in this fight here. The Ricky blinks in, he calls, and honestly, he could have kited out better there. He could have Force Staff earlier. But now, because he has the Force Staff, if he needs to reset, he can. Right? In this case, he actually used it aggressively. Very poor usage of Force Staff. I'm not trying to flame Funnick, I'm just being very objective, right, guys? Like, do not Force Staff aggressively unless you genuinely have to. In this case, the Magnus was basically dead already, so it was a bit of a waste, but hey, he wanted to get the buff. Also, he has mangoes in this backpack, which is a cool little tip. Axe can have a lot of mana problems in the late game, especially if you're dunking a lot of people, so keep that in mind. And now, as we end up the video, I do want to mention camera movement. It's something very important to note on Axe. Also, some pretty cool Force Staff usage coming up here. Not something I generally recommend, but it is niche and good. But going back to camera movement, you see how right off the bat here, when he's approaching the fight, this is his camera, by the way. It's already up there, right? He's already scouting things out for a couple of reasons. You want to know what spells people have. For instance, if Ricky has Tricks of the Trade, it completely changes whether or not Axe can try to call him. Can you try to call him if he has it? Yeah, you could, but it's possible for the Ricky to dodge it, right? So that changes things. Also, does Disruptor have Glimpse? Does Disruptor have Ulti? What HP are these heroes? Can I kill them from those HPs, right? And these are important things to know. You also want to see the direction people are moving. Right? Imagine if the Ricky is moving towards the Disruptor, then he can instantly, get ready for the call. And that's how you want to play these initiators. You always want to shift your camera up and kind of just know where your hero is by intuition, right? You have to just have a feeling for it. Occasionally you can reset. You can see how his camera shifts back. Just want to get a feel for where he is, right? He doesn't want to not see anything, but Force Staff, blink in, gets a nice little con to Ricky, and that is where the game ends as they kill off Matoma Man. Actually, this game ends up going for somehow another 3 minutes? How does that even happen? I'm actually curious to see how they throw this. Remember, guys, don't dive the base. Even pros do it. He calls an Axe. Why would you call an Axe? What does that even do? Yeah, but oh my gosh, they couldn't end. So sad. That's so funny. Okay, but yeah, just remember, guys, and this is another key thing to note. Know who you're gonna call in team fights. If you call people like a Mars, who literally wants to face you, literally wants to be facing forward, it doesn't do anything. Now, calling a Bristleback, for instance, makes a lot of sense. He wants to turn around. Also, calling a Ricky makes a lot of sense, or a Disruptor, because you could potentially burst them, or Ember, same thing. But calling a Mars is probably the worst thing, so make sure you don't call heroes like Mars, unless your team has very specific heroes that can actually allow you to kill him. For instance, maybe you have a Skywrath Mage. Boom. You can call them, burst them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll let you watch out this end little fight with me. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. That's a terrible RP. Little dunk, and they ended up. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GameLeap.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster. Because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream. And that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're going to see there, and I hope to see you there right now. So click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.